Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. My birthday is January 7th. It's in 3 days. I'm not bringing that up for any reason besides the one that Blizzard might bless us with a PTR build on my birthday, which is, I think it's Thursday. It could be Wednesday. The 7th, whatever it is. I think it might even be Tuesday. Next week, 11.1 PTR will very likely be here. The rumor is going to be, or the rumor is Monday, the 6th, actually. My birthday is on the 7th. Either way, PTR will be here next week. Now, I'm assuming it'll probably be somewhere between Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but I wanted to recap the announced Warlock Tier sets, talk a bit more about them, like interaction-wise, talent-wise, break down where they could be good, where they could be bad, and just go from there. Now that the holidays and everything are basically over. If you guys want any week orders or add-ons or all that kind of stuff, links to Twitch, Discord, and website up here, as well as down below in the description. Let's get it going. All right, now getting into the tier set bonuses here. It is called, for Warlock here, Spliced Fiend Trader's Influence. I haven't heard that name before. It sounds pretty cool. That's sick. So for Affliction, I think Affliction and Demonology are the more interesting tier sets in Season 2 of War Within. Destruction sort of is like a weird whatever. It procs and does things. That's basically it. Affliction, basically, we'll read through it more in a minute here. Affliction gives you multiple unstable afflictions. Very cool. A lot of like what ifs to this tier set. Demonology gives you a third dog, maybe a fourth dog, and a fifth dog, and a sixth dog. Very cool. Destruction just says, hey, whenever you proc this, you launch a couple missiles of Demon Fire Bolts, sort of passive, whatever. And also, like, when you hit a jackpot, you get 3% mastery, and your spells gain max benefit from mastery chaotic energies. Basically, you get your old version of Chaos Incarnate. So that talent probably needs to go away, either way, next patch, because you have a better version of your tier set, but I digress. So getting into the Affliction thing here, we're going to go through each build or each tier set and look at the talent tree, briefly hitting on some things that it might impact and see where it goes. So 2-piece, your spells and abilities have a chance to hit a jackpot that increases your haste by 12% for 12 seconds. Casting Summon Dark Lair always hits a jackpot. So Dark Lair, Tyrant, and Infernal, they all always grant a big bonus, which is, I don't know where that just went. There we go. They always grant your bonus, right? Which is very good. It guarantees that effect basically once every 2 minutes for Aff, a minute for Demo, and 2 minutes for Destruction. Now, when it comes to the haste effect, it's fine. We don't know the proc rate on this a whole lot, or what it might change, give or take, but guaranteeing this during cooldowns is very strong whenever you cast your Dark Lair. The 4-piece. Hitting a jackpot, so whenever you cast Dark Lair or whenever it procs, also increases the damage of Unstable Affliction by 50% and causes Unstable Affliction to spread to up to 3 targets within 40 yards for 12 seconds. Now, I've heard, I could be wrong here, I've heard that this Unstable Affliction, or there's a version of a UA that is flagged separately from the UA we cast. I don't know if it's like in an attempt to like make certain talents not interact with that UA, or just make it, so you can have 2 different ones in a sense without like overlapping in weird spaghetti code. I don't know. We'll see where that goes, but it's very interesting. The spreading of Unstable Affliction has been something Afflocks have wanted for a long time. They want, we want UA spender back in a sense. Not going to happen, but point being, having a way to spread Unstable Affliction is nice. Now, off the bat, UA is about 7 to 8% of our damage overall in single target, obviously less than AoE. This is a very, very minuscule buff. It should be like probably 200%, give or take. It's not even a permanent effect. It's only for 12 seconds, right? This needs to be much higher. What I would like to see here is them make it so like, hey, this is 200% if it applies to 1 target, maybe 150 if it applies to 2, 100 to 3. And if you put it on 3 additional targets, or whatever it is, if it can go on 3 or 4 max, whatever, it scales down in AoE versus single target. Because where it's at currently, this is like nothing for UA. It doesn't do a whole lot in the first place. But the spreading of the ability is very interesting. Now, getting into the Affliction tree here, what does it interact with? Obviously, a handful of UA-based nodes in the tree. If I can try and zoom out here a little bit, there we go. So, obviously, UA in itself, they have flagged it. From what I've heard, they have flagged it as a different version of UA. That might change, I don't know, but keep that in mind. We'll see where that lands. So, off the bat, we don't know if this Unstable Affliction extends with Dark Lair. I'm going to assume that it does. But the question is, how do we queue, like QUE, the application of UA whenever you cast Dark Lair? Because whenever you hit a jackpot, you'll gain the haste effect. The hitting a jackpot increases UA damage and causes UA to spread to up to 3 targets. So, if you're in single target, I assume it's gonna, maybe it spreads. The word spread, I would assume, it's hard to say. Probably just, the way it probably works in a way where it increases the damage of your main UA on like that target without like applying 2 unstable afflictions. But if it's like 2 targets, it'll spread UA to that 1 target. Or if there's 3 targets, it'll spread, you know, a UA to two additional targets on the side, right? But it mainly just amplifies UA on your main target here if it's in like single target. But how does the sequencing of UAs on the side targets apply if you're in like AoE or council / multi-target based settings? Does it technically queue as in like, I cast my Dark Lair and the game applies UA before Dark Lair essentially resolves, like with that weird like server ping, whatever you call it, kind of like, how does it apply? If I hit my Dark Lair, will the UA spread to 2 targets and then be extended by Dark Lair or not? How does that work? I don't know. If you hit a jackpot and it procs it again, does it spread UA a second time? Do you get 2 UAs on, you know, a handful of targets each? Or does it pandemic? How does it spread that? How does that work? A lot of questions here. How does it work if you have 1 jackpot proc active and you Dark Lair at that point too? Not really sure. So we got to see where that goes. A lot of like interesting interactions there. But as far as like actual talents are concerned, you've got things obviously like Malediction, Contagion, buffing UA, which might make these worthwhile for Soul Harvester at some point, possibly if this bonus is buffed enough to be strong enough in a single target. But other effects such as, well, Xavius Gambit. Unstability doesn't really do much here. Cast time reduction isn't a big deal. Doesn't really matter much. So this, even though this does work with UA, doesn't really change anything. As far as we know, unless there's some weird like, unless this works in a way where you can like essentially cast it in a weird way on a mob that UA spread to, it really wouldn't matter either way. Because these UAs right here only last for 12 seconds, not whatever the baseline duration of UA is, which is longer than 12. So probably doesn't have much value, but still worth pointing out. It could be some weird like side play with it maybe, but I doubt it. The big things are though, Xavius' Gambit, 20% UA increase. Now, this modifier in conjunction with this modifier is still not enough, but if this is buffed by, you know, double, say 100%, keep in mind, this also increases UA if you want to take this. And in current sims, with this being buffed recently, it's close-ish to, I think, playing something else, or something like moving a talent from, I think, from our Harvest to here. It's not better, but it's close, I believe, when I simmed it. On top of that, you also have Focus Malignancy. Excuse me, Rapture does 25% more damage to targets suffering from unstable affliction. And this is what makes me wonder about them flagging these UAs or making these UAs. I could be wrong about this. If I've heard that they're doing this, if they are, these UAs being a different version of UA that you, the player, casts, the ones that spread, right? Not just like the bonus damage to like your main target here, if it spreads to other targets, right? That's what makes me wonder if they're flagging it separately, so Malignancy will not be active on multiple targets. Because Malignancy, as cool as it would be to have this active on multiple targets, an increase to Rapture by 25% in 4 target settings, whatever, 5 target, 6 target. If this thing procs twice, if you proc 2 jackpots back to back, do you spread 6 UAs on 6 targets? Is it smart? Will it jump to ones that don't have UA on it? We don't know. But we'll see where that goes with that other version of Unstable Affliction. Besides that, other like, you know, small niche effects, whatever, here and there. But for the most part, I mean, like, Malignancy is the big question, I would say, for Unstable Affliction. Obviously, it needs a buff when it comes to this, but the fact that it triggers off your Dark Lair, Haste Amp is nice in general. It's guaranteed from casting your Dark Lair. So you'll have it every 2 minutes guaranteed. You know, in between each one with Soul Rot and PS on their own is what it is. But it's very cool. But there's a lot of what ifs here. If all the interactions work, if Dark Lair extension works, if this is buffed, if Malignancy works, if Xavius' Gambit, well, I guess if it's buffed and it's relevant to play and all that would be pretty cool. But we have to see where it lands. Also, does it work with TC? Can I drain a mob that has UA on it and plus again? Are we back to be able to drain whatever we want if this thing procs and spreads? Not sure. A lot of questions remain unanswered. But when PTR comes, we will find out. Now, when it comes to Demonology's tier set bonus, this is very likely the strongest one currently, maybe out of most tier on PTR. Looking at how, like, initial iteration of it, right? Your spells and abilities have a chance to hit a jackpot, same as AFS, but also had same as Disruption, that summons a Dreadstalker At 165% effectiveness, casting Summon Demonic Tyrant always hits the jackpot. So same as Affliction and Destro, Major CD always hits the jackpot. Casting Hand of Gul'dan causes your active Dreadstalkers to cast Dreadbite at 50% effectiveness. This damage is increased by 10% for each Soul Shard spent on Hand of Gul'dan. A lot to break down here. So, number one, Tyrant minute cooldown versus Infernal Dark Lair being 2 minutes. So you get this effect every 1 minute comparatively to every 2. Very important to keep that in mind. From what I understand, this is also a different Dreadstalker than the ones we have. I heard, I think Malakath mentioned it, it's a Legion Dreadstalker, which like might not, it brings the question once again, do the Dreadstalker abilities work with this dog? So for example, do things like how Master's Gambit work? Do things like Dread Calling work? Do things that buff dogs, I mean, does I guess Carnivorous work, right? They have a chance to trigger Carnivorous again. Who knows? Does this dog apply Wicked Maw? We don't know. We would assume so, based on this dog. You know, your Dreadstalker is casting Dreadbite whenever you cast Hand of Gul'dan, but we're not sure. So once again, a lot of questions remain unanswered until we get on PTR. But this bonus sounds very, very strong when it comes to AoE, and even in a single target, right? It brings the question again, the same like spell queuing kind of thing of like, when my Tyrant resolves, summon the dog essentially before the Tyrant. So like when it resolves, does it go instant dog and Tyrant sort of like checks for extensions afterwards before? If that makes sense, sort of like a queuing kind of system. Not sure. It likely summons after Tyrant. Not really sure, but we'll see. If you have one active, when you cast Tyrant, does Tyrant extend this pet? Does it not? We don't know. And also the Hand of Gul'dan thing's interesting. So depending on the number of dogs you proc, the Dreadstalkers in this, which also this depends, once again, if Tyrant extends, they'll be out longer, so you have a chance to get more out, right? 3, 4, and 5, for example. Does the Hand of Gul'dan ratio, even for example, if you're Tyranting, and you get to that point where you have, you know, two sets of Dreadstalkers out, is there a ratio of, like, Hand of Gul'dan cast to... Is there a point of, like, how do I word this? Is there a ratio on the number of Dreadstalkers you have active compared to the number of targets you're attacking? Do you want to just go one chart Hand of Gul'dans? Similar to how Shadow Invocation was in Dragonflight. You hit like, I think 10 targets or 8 and just spam one chart Hand of Gul'dans, because hand would land, proc bombers a million times, and it would do more essentially. I think triggering your dogs at half effectiveness is probably worth more than casting 2 more Shadow Bolts to get 3 imps versus 1 at a certain ratio. Maybe it's like, you know, two main Dreadstalkers and 2 procs here. Maybe it's 10 targets. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. This might change. Might stay the same. Don't really know. But the big question, like we said, is does this work with other abilities? Does it work with, I mean, Wicked Maw being applied, right, from this dog itself, right? When you summon this thing, does it Dreadbite when it runs in, like dogs do normally? Who knows, right? Dogs, when they come out, your main ones you cast, they jump in, they Dreadbite and apply Wicked Maw. Does that dog function in the same way? Not really sure. Is it buffed by, is buffed by Dreadlash? Can it proc Carnivorous or reproc Carnivorous in a sense? Does it work with Dread Calling? Does it work with Master's Gambit? We're not really sure. Even things like Demonic Brutality, does it work? We don't know. Have to get on PTR and test it out. But I think I'm both for Affliction and Demonology. There's a lot of potential synergy with these builds and with their tier sets in the builds. And I hope that they've taken that into account, and it's not just like a, oh, the dog proc, it's cool. Yeah, does this dog give you a core when it expires? We don't know, right? Does it give you a demonic core? We're already getting a change to Doom, which gives you, this is no longer, this is different now. It gives you a core, or a chance to get a core whenever Doom expires, right? Is it whenever this dog here expires, you get a core? We don't know, right? We're not really sure, but a lot of potential really cool interactions here. I'm hoping that this dog does give a core. Does work with Master's Gambit, does work with Wicked Maw, with Dreadlash, with Carnivorous. I hope this is taken into account these synergies and made it so, okay, yeah, this is tuned around this, or will be tuned around this, but it works functionality-wise, it's cool, and not just some random dog that procs and just runs away whenever, with no extensions, no core, no synergy. If it ends up being that way, it's still probably fine, it's still probably cool, but I would assume they're going to make it work with you know, talents. Interactions, because if not, it's just like a random summon a demon and it runs away. We all had that with Nether Portal. We'd randomly proc a demon sometimes, would just hit the mob and run away. It was cool, but I was like, oh, this could be so much cooler. So we'll see where it goes, but I think at a like power level, Demo's the highest. This looks very, very strong in Mythic Plus. Honestly, probably pretty strong in rating as well. Having this effect every minute, having multiple dogs out, rechomps, it just looks good. So, and the last tier bonus we have here is Destruction. Destruction is surprisingly, I would say, a little bland. But that's with the asterisk next to it. It could be sort of cool. It obviously looks cool. There's that. But I think that Destro has potential, but in its current form, it seems a little... I mean, when you proc Jackpot as AF, you can feel the haste buff. You can see the UAs being spread, right? When you cast Tyrant with Demonology every minute, you see a dog spawn. You cast Hand Eagle down, your dogs are biting, and you can see those effects, right? Destro's 2P says your spells and abilities have a chance to hit a jackpot that fires a flurry of 12 Demon Fire bolts at 200% effectiveness. Casting Summon Infernal always hits a jackpot. So, same as the other few. Major CD launches 12 Demon Bolts at, larger effectiveness. The 4-piece, hitting a jackpot increases your mastery by 3%, and spells gain maximum benefit from mastery chaotic energies for 10 seconds. So this is an interesting bonus to break down. I'm going to change this here to 11.1 PTR. So we're going to look at how things are structured. So when it comes to Destro's talents, they've changed Channel Demon Fire and Demon Fire Infusion in 11.1. You have an option of taking a passive effect, which is, Demon Fire Infusion. Immolate the chance to fire a Demon Fire Bolt, Incinerate has a higher chance to fire 1, 2, or something like that. And you also have CDF here as a choice node. Now below it, you have, once again, CDF fires 3 additional bolts. Each bolt increases the remaining duration of Immolate on all targets by 0.5 seconds. Now, the question is, for talents in general, does this work with Demon Fire Infusion? I'm assuming the answer is yes, but I haven't really seen. To a similar extent, does this work with Infusion? Not really sure. We'll figure it out. Now, this bonus launches Demon Fire Bolts. So this honestly feels a lot like just the baseline ability right here being Demon Fire Infusion. Passive effects just launch Demon Fire Bolts. Do these bolts here work off of this talent that increase Immolate or Wither duration? Basically, it's Wither, right? Like how I call her. Does that work? Not really sure, but curious to see if that ends up being a thing or not, right? On top of that, once again, Inferno proccing it is nice. You have an ability as Diabolist. I think it is right. It's somewhere in here. I think it's, yes, Abyssal Dominion. Whenever you're Infernal, whenever it runs away or dies, you gain 2 smaller fragments of the Infernal at 50% effectiveness for 10 seconds. Do these Infernals, Abyssal Dominion, do these things proc the bonus? I think that's a pretty big reach, to be fair, because it says casting Summon Infernal, but it's still worth pointing out. Possibility, maybe, as far as like synergy is concerned. But I feel like the 4-piece, you gain max benefit from Mastery Chaotic Energies. Now, once again, the wording here, a little funky. But not really. So Chaotic Energies is basically this. It's Chaos Incarnate. You gain 70% effectiveness or 70% of your max benefit from Chaotic Energies. So this used to be 100% in Dragonflight. Unless I'm interpreting this wrong, it seems like they're just taking this in your tier bonus and making it 100%, which is what it was in Dragonflight. If that's the case, I'm wondering if this talent is gone. If they're just going to delete it or not. It seems exceptionally redundant and just honestly really awkward to have a talent here that used to be 100%, was nerfed to 50 and then buffed to 70 in your tier set in its old form at 100%. So this will never be taken, and it seems very odd. So this could be like foreshadowing, maybe Chaos Incarnate's going away. This could be a possibility for like congruency in the tree here, because they have indeed removed whatever this was, some talent for Winter Rift here, and put Embers as a capstone. They could just bump this down here, remove Incarnate, which could very well be a thing, but it's a possibility. Not really sure where it's going to go. Get to see. But I mean, besides that, it's just sort of Destro. Not much to it. Just procs random bolts. I mean, they're cool. I'm sure it'll look cool, right? I think as far as power is concerned, it's Demonology, Destro, than AF. But AF needs buffs here. Demonology looks really fun, really strong on that. Destro seems fine. Gaining master benefits cool too, I guess, but I just feel like when this procs for Aff, I'll feel the haste from Dark, or when I cast Dark Lair. When it procs, hit a jackpot randomly, I'll feel the haste increase. When that happens, I'll be able to see the UA spread to multiple targets, right? Maybe Malignancy works with it. Maybe you get more damage coming out of that. It feels good. You notice it. You can see what's happening, right? Demonology, you've got more dogs running around every minute versus 2 with Tyrant compared to Dark Lair or Infernal. Whenever you cast Handing Gul'dan, your dogs chomp, which also reapplies Wicked Maw. More damage per shard spent. You can see that. You can feel it. It's cool. It's exciting, right? If these things give cores too, it's going to be even cooler, right? When you get to Destro, it's like, all right, I mean, you're going to proc a barrage of Demon Fire Bolts. And maybe, I'm sure it'll look cool. Hopefully they're like Shadow Flame-esque. That'd be really cool. But it just seems like it's a little subpar, I guess. I'm probably undervaluing the benefit of Mastery Chaotic Energies during your Infernal. But it's only 10 seconds. And Infernal lasts 30. So I'm not really sure. I don't think it needs to be redone or anything. But it definitely needs... I feel like it needs something else to be as exciting as Aff and Demo. But either way, that's the breakdown of it. It looks cool. I think that looks sick. This is very cool. It's like almost OG-esque Necromus kind of feel. I think it looks sick. We'll know more soon. So thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and hopefully helped clarify on some things heading into patch 11.1 PTR, which will likely be sometime this week. Like I said, we're really unsure on a lot of interactions with Warlock Tier, with talents, with hero talents, just based on abilities, but hopefully they've taken that all into account and we get like UA functioning with Malignancy. Destro and Demo interactions too with, Call of Dreadstalker stuff. Once again, Destro's sort of bland, I guess, in a sense, or talent interaction. Just, hey, the procs, you get more crit, and the 4-piece gives mastery or something like that, right? I don't know. Whatever it gives, I already forgot. But hey, it's there. It looks decent, and we'll know a lot more in the next probably few days when PTR hits. It's going to be a busy month and a half with raid testing, all that. Before we know it, we're going to be in 11.1, which is needed, but also, like, pretty exciting. So if you guys want any week rewards, add-ons, profiles, links to Twitch, Discord, website down below, what's up here. And also a massive shout out to all supporters, all my supporters on Patreon for all support. Thank you all a million times. I greatly appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be also a link up here, well, over there, as well as down below. Like I said, I would venture yes, the patch is coming out end of February, probably the 25th, whatever, 26th, whatever day that is, that week, on a Tuesday. And then probably, I mean, they said no heroic week this time around, so probably just right into the raid. So if that's what you like, hey, let's go. If you like heroic week, like I did, fortunate, but it is what it is. Either way, fun times ahead. Testing, all that PTR should be fun. Hopefully a lot cranks, and we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.